Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Wherever you've chosen to rest, bed, couch, or simply a quiet corner, this space belongs to you. Take a slow breath in and let it out gently. Feel your shoulders loosen. Feel your eyes grow heavier with each blink. There is nothing you need to do now. The words will carry you. Soon, your thoughts may drift on their own, slow and effortless. So settle in, get comfortable. The story will begin shortly. Cheating is a behavior in which a person breaks an agreement, an expectation, or a rule in order to gain an advantage. In psychology, it is often examined in the context of close relationships, such as romantic partnerships. It can also appear in academic, professional, or social settings. The focus here will be mainly on intimate relationships, where cheating tends to create questions about human behavior. Over time, as you listen, you may find yourself drifting much deeper without effort. The term cheating in relationships usually refers to acts of infidelity. Infidelity might involve physical intimacy with someone outside the relationship, emotional closeness that undermines the primary bond, or even secretive online interactions. Each culture and relationship defines the boundaries somewhat differently. For some, cheating is limited to sexual contact. For others, it includes hidden emotional attachments or even private digital conversations. Researchers approach the study of cheating by looking at causes, patterns, and outcomes. They define cheating not just as an act, but also as a breach of trust. Trust functions as the psychological foundation of a relationship. When that foundation is broken, people may experience feelings of betrayal. From a psychological view, the act is important, but so is the perception of having broken the contract of exclusivity. One theory often used is evolutionary psychology. It suggests that certain behaviors might have roots in long-term survival strategies. For instance, men may be more likely to pursue multiple partners due to reproductive potential, while women may be more selective, sometimes seeking additional partners for resources or security. These are theories, and they are debated. They do not determine behavior, but provide one way of interpreting it. By contrast, social psychology often highlights situational and cultural factors. It points to how opportunities, peer influences, or societal norms can make cheating more or less likely. For example, a culture that strongly condemns infidelity may reduce the frequency, while one that tolerates casual connections might increase it. Social learning, observation, and accepted norms all play a role in shaping how individuals approach fidelity. At an individual level, personality traits have been linked with cheating. People high in narcissism may be more likely to cheat, as they often seek admiration and novelty. Impulsivity is another trait that can increase the likelihood of infidelity. By contrast, high levels of conscientiousness and agreeableness may reduce the risk. These are tendencies, not strict rules, but they show how personality can contribute to patterns of behavior. Attachment theory also provides insights. People with insecure attachment styles, such as anxious or avoidant patterns, might find it harder to maintain consistent closeness. Anxiously attached individuals may seek reassurance outside the relationship if they feel neglected. Avoidantly attached individuals might create distance by turning to others. Securely attached individuals, by contrast, are often more stable and less likely to engage in secretive behavior. Another factor is relationship satisfaction. When people feel fulfilled in their partnership, cheating is generally less likely. However, low satisfaction can lead to seeking emotional or physical needs elsewhere. Dissatisfaction may come from lack of communication, unmet sexual needs, or differences in life goals. Still, it is not always the case that unhappy partners cheat. Sometimes satisfied individuals cheat for other reasons, such as curiosity or opportunity. Opportunity plays a strong role in behavior. Situations that allow secrecy, travel, or privacy may increase chances of infidelity. Technology has added new layers to this by making private communication easy. Online platforms provide anonymity and constant access. Emotional connections can form through text, social media, or dating apps, often blurring the line between friendship and infidelity. Moral reasoning also matters. Some people hold strong beliefs about loyalty and resist temptation regardless of circumstances. Others may rationalize their actions, telling themselves that their partner will not know or that the act is harmless. Rationalization is a psychological defense mechanism. It helps the individual reduce guilt, even when the behavior conflicts with personal or cultural values. From a cognitive standpoint, people often use selective attention and memory to manage their actions. Someone who cheats may minimize the importance of their partner's feelings or exaggerate flaws in the relationship to justify the act. This is known as cognitive dissonance reduction. When behavior and beliefs conflict, the mind adjusts either the belief or the interpretation of the behavior to maintain inner balance. Perceptions of cheating are shaped by personal expectations and cultural frameworks. What one person calls unfaithful behavior, another might see as harmless. For example, a private text conversation may be seen as betrayal in one relationship, but as normal friendship in another. These differences often come from early experiences, cultural teaching, and the boundaries set within each partnership. When cheating is discovered, psychological responses vary. Many people report feelings of anger, sadness, or confusion. Others may feel a sense of numbness or shock. Trust is the most common theme, as it is often the foundation most shaken by infidelity. The partner who is betrayed may question not only the relationship, but also their own judgment and self-worth. For the person who cheated, responses also differ. Some feel guilt or regret. Others may feel justified or relieved. In some cases, individuals report little emotion at all, especially if they had rationalized the behavior over time. Cognitive dissonance plays a strong role here. To reduce inner conflict, some people minimize the seriousness of their actions, while others adjust their self-image. Relationship outcomes after cheating vary widely. Some relationships end immediately, while others attempt to repair the bond. Repair often requires difficult conversations, acknowledgement of harm, and efforts to rebuild trust. In practice, some couples succeed, while others struggle. Recovery may be influenced by the depth of the betrayal, the willingness of both partners, and external support such as counseling. Psychologists studying forgiveness note that it is not a single event but a process. Forgiveness may take weeks, months, or even years. It involves emotional adjustment, letting go of resentment, and sometimes rebuilding intimacy. Not all relationships survive this process, but for those that do, forgiveness can mark a turning point. It does not erase the event, but changes how it is remembered. There are also social consequences. Cheating can affect not just the couple, but also family, friends, and social circles. When trust is broken, others may take sides or withdraw. In some communities, reputations may be harmed. This shows how infidelity is not only a private matter, but also a social one. The meaning of cheating extends beyond the two individuals involved. Gender differences in responses have been studied. Some research suggests that men are more likely to be distressed by physical infidelity, while women are more affected by emotional infidelity. This has been linked to evolutionary theories about reproduction and resources. However, these findings are debated, and cultural expectations may also shape responses. Individual differences are often greater than gender differences. Attachment style again influences reactions. Anxiously attached individuals may respond to cheating with intense distress and cling to the relationship despite betrayal. Avoidantly attached individuals may distance themselves quickly, shutting down emotionally. Securely attached individuals may confront the issue directly, seeking clarity and resolution. These patterns illustrate how early relational experiences continue to shape adult responses. Over time, some people reinterpret the meaning of cheating. For some, it becomes a turning point that leads to personal growth, new self-understanding, or changes in how they approach future relationships. For others, it creates lasting suspicion or fear of intimacy. The outcomes are diverse, showing that infidelity is not a single psychological event, but a complex process with lasting consequences. From a biological perspective, hormones may also influence behavior. The neurochemical dopamine is linked to novelty seeking and reward, which can reinforce the excitement of a new connection. Oxytocin and vasopressin are associated with bonding, which may be weakened when attachment is disrupted. While biology does not determine behavior, it interacts with social and psychological factors. Cheating in academic or professional settings shares some similarities. Here, the act involves breaking rules for personal advantage, such as copying work or falsifying data. In these cases, motivations may include pressure to succeed, fear of failure, or opportunities for gain. Although the context differs, the psychology of rationalization, opportunity, and moral decision-making remains comparable. In research, cheating is often studied through surveys, experiments, and interviews. Surveys provide broad data about frequency and patterns. Experiments may test how people respond to scenarios involving temptation. Interviews allow deeper understanding of personal experiences. Each method has strengths and limitations, but together they create a clearer picture of how and why people cheat. Long-term consequences of cheating extend beyond the immediate crisis. Over time, individuals and couples adapt in different ways. Some relationships end quickly after discovery. Others continue with attempts at repair. Each path brings its own set of psychological processes. For those who end the relationship, separation may be accompanied by grief, relief, or both. Grief may come from the loss of the relationship itself, as well as the loss of trust in others. Relief may come from no longer living with secrecy or suspicion. The adjustment process often mirrors other forms of loss, involving stages of denial, anger, bargaining, sadness, and eventual acceptance. In relationships that continue, rebuilding trust becomes central. Trust is not restored overnight. It usually requires consistent behavior, open communication, and accountability. The partner who cheated may need to demonstrate reliability over time. The partner who was betrayed may need to slowly test whether forgiveness feels possible. This gradual process can take years. Psychologists note that recovery often involves redefining the relationship. Old patterns may be discarded and new agreements may be formed. For example, partners may agree to share more about their daily lives or establish new boundaries for online interactions. These changes are not guarantees of success, but they can help create a sense of structure for moving forward. The partner who experienced betrayal may face ongoing doubts. Suspicion can surface unexpectedly, triggered by small cues, such as late returns or secretive phone use. This state of vigilance may cause stress and anxiety. Over time, it can either diminish through reassurance and consistency, or persist if doubts remain unresolved. For the person who cheated, the long-term effects may also be complex. Some individuals struggle with guilt, even after the relationship ends. Guilt may appear in new relationships, where fears of repeating old mistakes emerge. Others may continue patterns of infidelity, particularly if underlying personality traits or attachment issues remain unaddressed. Children can also be affected when cheating leads to family disruption. In families where infidelity results in divorce, children may experience confusion or changes in their daily routines. Research shows that outcomes for children depend less on the cheating itself and more on how the adults manage conflict and transitions. Stable routines and cooperative co-parenting can help reduce negative effects. At a broader level, cheating can shape how people think about future relationships. Some individuals develop mistrust and become guarded, entering new partnerships with skepticism. Others may become more reflective, learning to communicate boundaries more clearly. The long-term impact depends on individual coping strategies, support systems, and personal resilience. One psychological concept often discussed is post-traumatic growth. While cheating is not the same as trauma in a medical sense, the betrayal can create similar disruptions to one's worldview. Some individuals report that, after time, they feel stronger, more self-aware, or more selective in choosing partners. Growth does not erase the pain, but represents adaptation. Research into resilience shows that support networks play a strong role in outcomes. Friends, family, or professional counselors can provide perspective and comfort. Having others to confide in reduces isolation and helps individuals process emotions. Conversely, a lack of support may intensify feelings of shame or self-doubt. Another long-term factor is self-concept. Being cheated on can challenge how people see themselves. Questions like, "Was I not enough?" may arise. These self-evaluations can affect confidence in other areas of life, such as work or friendships. Over time, reframing the event as the result of multiple factors, rather than personal inadequacy, can help restore self-esteem. For the person who cheated, self-concept may also shift. Some may view themselves as dishonest or untrustworthy, while others integrate the experience into a broader narrative of imperfection. The way individuals make sense of their own actions influences whether they repeat or change patterns in the future. In some cases, couples use the crisis as an opportunity for deeper honesty. They may address long-avoided issues, such as communication breakdowns or unmet needs. Paradoxically, some relationships report becoming stronger after working through infidelity, though this is not the norm. The key factor appears to be willingness to engage in sustained and difficult dialogue. Modern technology has reshaped how people think about cheating. Digital tools provide new ways to connect, communicate, and conceal. Text messaging, social media, and dating apps make it easier to form private relationships outside of a committed bond. At the same time, these tools blur the boundary between what is considered innocent interaction and what is perceived as betrayal. The term micro-cheating has emerged to describe small behaviors that may signal hidden intentions. Examples include consistently liking someone's photos online, sending late-night messages, or hiding contact with another person from a partner. These actions may not involve physical intimacy, but they can still create feelings of distrust. The challenge lies in interpretation, since different people set different thresholds for what counts as infidelity. Psychologists observe that micro-cheating can act as an early warning sign. It may show unmet needs, boredom, or curiosity. In practice, some partners dismiss these actions as harmless, while others view them as clear signs of disloyalty. The subjective nature of micro-cheating demonstrates how infidelity is not only about behavior, but also about meaning assigned by those involved. Technology also increases opportunities for secrecy. Online platforms allow private conversations to continue without physical presence. A person can maintain a second life through direct messages, video calls, or anonymous accounts. This ease of concealment may encourage behaviors that, in the past, required more risk and effort. The barrier to entry is lower, and temptation is often immediate. At the same time, technology increases the chance of discovery. Digital records, such as texts, emails, and browsing history, can reveal hidden behavior. Many cases of infidelity are uncovered through accidental discovery of messages or accounts. This dual role of technology, as both enabler and revealer, adds complexity to modern cheating. Social norms also shift with technology. Younger generations often grow up with online connections as normal parts of daily life. Friendships may involve frequent digital communication, which older generations might interpret as suspicious. This generational gap creates misunderstandings about what counts as acceptable behavior. Couples often need to define boundaries explicitly in order to avoid conflict. Another feature of modern infidelity is the rise of online only affairs. These relationships may involve intense emotional intimacy without physical contact. For some, the lack of physical presence makes it feel less like cheating. For others, the emotional connection alone constitutes betrayal. Research suggests that emotional infidelity can be just as damaging as physical infidelity, depending on how it is perceived. Pornography and virtual interactions add further complexity. Some individuals see them as private, personal activities, while others consider them a form of betrayal. Again, perception is central. What matters is less the act itself than whether it violates the explicit or implicit rules of the relationship. This shows how cheating is defined not by universal standards, but by negotiated agreements. Psychologists note that the rise of digital infidelity highlights the importance of communication. Couples who openly discuss their expectations about online behavior tend to report fewer conflicts. Without clear discussion, assumptions can lead to misunderstandings. In this way, technology does not cause cheating by itself, but creates new contexts in which boundaries must be managed. The role of anonymity is also significant. Online environments allow people to interact without revealing their full identity. This anonymity can lower inhibitions and encourage risk-taking. In psychology, this is sometimes called the online disinhibition effect. People may say or do things online that they would avoid in person, including behaviors considered unfaithful. From a research perspective, digital infidelity raises challenges in measurement. Surveys must adapt to include questions about online communication, virtual relationships, and digital secrecy. Definitions continue to expand, making comparisons across time difficult. Despite this, studies consistently show that technology has made infidelity more accessible, while also making it more discoverable. Micro-cheating and digital infidelity also reveal the role of intention. A person may send a message with no romantic intent, yet a partner may see it as suspicious. Conversely, someone may deliberately use online tools to seek connection outside the relationship. Intention and perception both matter, and they do not always align. Misunderstandings are common when intentions are unclear or unspoken. Cheating can also be studied through the lens of moral philosophy and cultural systems. In most societies, loyalty in relationships is valued, and infidelity is viewed as a violation of that value. This does not mean all cultures define it the same way, but across history, rules about fidelity have appeared in laws, religious codes, and social customs. The presence of these rules shows that cheating is not only a private act, but a social concern. Religious traditions provide clear examples. Many religions frame fidelity as a moral or spiritual duty. In some cases, cheating is labeled as a sin, with consequences not only for the individual, but for the community. In other traditions, it is linked to honor, reputation, and family stability. These perspectives show that societies often see personal relationships as tied to larger moral orders. From a sociological perspective, cheating threatens social stability because it undermines trust. Trust is a building block for cooperation. In families, it maintains unity. In communities, it fosters predictable behavior. When infidelity occurs, it disrupts the sense of predictability. This disruption can extend beyond the relationship, affecting networks of friends, relatives, and colleagues. At the same time, societies differ in how they enforce rules about cheating. Some cultures impose strong penalties, such as divorce laws or social exclusion. Others tolerate or even expect certain kinds of infidelity, especially among individuals with wealth or power. These differences highlight that cheating is not a fixed category, but a behavior interpreted within specific social frameworks. In philosophy, questions about cheating often overlap with questions about freedom and responsibility. On one hand, individuals value personal freedom, including the freedom to pursue new desires. On the other hand, commitments create obligations. Cheating represents a tension between these two principles. The act is often judged as a failure to uphold responsibility in favor of personal desire. Psychologists note that individuals also create their own moral frameworks. A person may feel strongly bound by loyalty, regardless of external rules. Another may prioritize personal satisfaction, downplaying the importance of commitment. When two partners bring different moral frameworks into a relationship, the risk of conflict over cheating increases. Historically, attitudes toward infidelity have shifted with social changes. In patriarchal societies, male infidelity was sometimes overlooked, while female infidelity was heavily punished. This double standard reflected unequal power dynamics. As gender equality has expanded, expectations of fidelity have become more balanced. Today, most modern societies apply similar standards to both men and women, though traces of old norms remain. The philosophy of ethics can also shed light. Cheating can be analysed through utilitarianism, which asks whether actions maximize well-being. From this view, cheating is harmful because it causes distress and reduces trust. Deontological ethics, by contrast, emphasizes duty and rules. From this perspective, cheating is wrong simply because it breaks a promise, regardless of outcomes. Virtue ethics looks at character, suggesting that loyalty reflects good character while cheating signals flaws in self-control or honesty. These perspectives show that infidelity is more than an act. It is a window into values. How people respond to cheating depends on whether they focus on outcomes, duties, or character. This diversity of moral reasoning explains why conversations about infidelity often remain unresolved, even among thoughtful individuals. Cheating also raises questions about human nature. Some theorists argue that monogamy is difficult because humans are not naturally inclined to lifelong exclusivity. Others argue that loyalty is essential for social order, and that the struggle to remain faithful is part of building stable societies. These debates show the intersection between biology, culture, and ethics. Anthropological studies add further perspective. In some cultures, group marriage or polygamy is practiced, where multiple partners are accepted. In these contexts, the idea of cheating is defined differently. The presence or absence of exclusivity changes the meaning of betrayal. This demonstrates that cheating is not universal in form, but always tied to social contracts. In literature and art, cheating has long been a theme. Stories from ancient myths to modern novels depict betrayal as a central conflict. These stories often highlight jealousy, revenge, and reconciliation. The repeated presence of infidelity in cultural expression suggests that it touches fundamental human concerns about trust, desire, and social order. Coping with infidelity is one of the most challenging experiences in human relationships. For the person who has been betrayed, emotions often shift rapidly between shock, anger, sadness, and confusion. Trust, once broken, is not easily restored. Psychologists describe this as a disruption of attachment security. When partners commit to one another, they build a sense of safety. Infidelity undermines this foundation, leaving the betrayed partner questioning not only the relationship, but also their own judgment. The immediate response to discovering cheating varies widely. Some individuals withdraw, avoiding confrontation. Others demand answers or react with anger. These differences reflect personality traits, coping styles, and prior experiences with trust and betrayal. No single reaction is universal. What is common, however, is the sense of loss, not only of the relationship as it once was, but of the imagined future tied to it. Grief is a useful framework for understanding this process. Similar to the loss of a loved one, betrayal often triggers stages of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Some move through these stages quickly. Others remain stuck in one phase for months or years. The length and intensity of this grief depend on factors such as the depth of the commitment, the presence of children, and the availability of social support. Therapists emphasize the importance of acknowledging these emotions rather than suppressing them. Suppression may provide temporary relief, but unresolved feelings can resurface later as anxiety, distrust, or difficulty forming new attachments. By openly processing the experience, individuals can gradually rebuild emotional stability. Support systems play a crucial role in this process. Friends and family provide listening ears and reassurance. However, advice from loved ones can also be conflicting. Some may encourage forgiveness, while others insist on separation. Because of this, professional therapy is often recommended. A therapist provides a neutral space where emotions can be explored without pressure. From the perspective of the unfaithful partner, coping takes a different form. Feelings of guilt, shame, or regret may arise, especially if the cheating was impulsive rather than premeditated. Others may experience defensiveness, justifying their actions as a response to unmet needs in the relationship. These reactions influence whether reconciliation is possible. For couples who choose to remain together, rebuilding trust becomes the central challenge. Psychologists highlight transparency, consistent behavior, and time as necessary ingredients. The unfaithful partner must demonstrate reliability through actions, not just words. The betrayed partner, meanwhile, faces the difficult task of opening themselves to vulnerability again. Without both efforts, reconciliation often fails. Forgiveness, in this context, does not mean forgetting or excusing. Instead, it involves releasing the constant grip of resentment. Studies show that forgiveness can reduce stress and improve emotional well-being. However, it must be voluntary. Forced forgiveness can deepen wounds. Some individuals decide that moving on separately is healthier than rebuilding. Both paths are valid. For those who end the relationship, recovery often includes redefining personal identity. Relationships provide a sense of self, and betrayal can leave individuals questioning their worth. Rebuilding involves recognizing that the betrayal reflects the choices of the other person, not a deficiency in oneself. Over time, self-confidence and trust in others can return. Cheating also leaves lasting effects on future relationships. Some individuals become hypervigilant, constantly searching for signs of betrayal. Others avoid deep commitment altogether, fearing repetition of the pain. Therapists work to help individuals distinguish between healthy caution and destructive suspicion. The goal is not to ignore risk, but to build trust without letting fear dominate. For couples who successfully move past infidelity, the experience can paradoxically deepen their relationship. This outcome is not common, but when it occurs, partners report greater honesty, stronger communication, and renewed appreciation for one another. The crisis becomes a turning point, forcing issues into the open and prompting growth. From a societal perspective, coping with cheating is also shaped by cultural attitudes. In some cultures, betrayal is seen as unforgivable, while in others, it is regarded as a common challenge to be managed. The support, or lack of support, offered by communities influences recovery. For example, in tightly knit groups where reputation is central, Betrayal can lead to social isolation in addition to personal pain. In more individualistic societies, the impact may be more private. Prevention of cheating is a complex topic. While no relationship is completely immune, certain patterns can reduce risk. Prevention begins with awareness of vulnerabilities. Every partnership has strengths and weaknesses. By recognizing them early, couples may address challenges before they grow into fractures that invite infidelity. Communication is often described as the most central factor. In practice, this means more than simply talking. It involves expressing needs clearly, listening without interruption, and clarifying meaning rather than assuming. Miscommunication can quietly create distance. Over time, one partner may feel unheard, leading them to seek connection elsewhere. By contrast, couples who engage in open dialogue may notice dissatisfaction earlier and take corrective steps. Emotional intimacy is another preventive factor. Intimacy does not only refer to physical closeness, it includes shared experiences, vulnerability, and small daily affirmations of care. A partner who feels valued and understood is less likely to look outside the relationship. Even brief daily check-ins or shared routines can reinforce this connection. Boundaries also play an important role. Each couple may define boundaries differently, depending on culture and personality. For some, casual friendships with the opposite sex are acceptable. For others, these interactions may be perceived as threatening. Prevention requires not only setting boundaries, but also updating them as life circumstances change. A couple may, for example, agree that late-night private conversations with co-workers cross a line. Such agreements, when respected, reduce ambiguity and temptation. Commitment is supported by conscious effort. Research shows that satisfaction in long-term relationships is not simply a matter of finding the right partner, but also of maintaining certain habits, expressing gratitude, showing affection, and supporting one another in goals strengthen bonds. Without these behaviors, complacency can erode connection, even when there is no major conflict. Stress management is another indirect but significant factor. High levels of stress, whether from work, finances, or health, can strain relationships. During stress, people may become irritable, withdrawn, or inattentive. These changes can create openings for outside connections. Couples who develop joint stress management strategies, such as exercise, problem-solving discussions, or relaxation practices, may preserve closeness during difficult times. Self-awareness also matters. Individuals who understand their own triggers and vulnerabilities are better equipped to manage them. For example, someone who knows they seek validation during periods of low self-esteem can communicate this need rather than pursuing it elsewhere. Personal growth and emotional regulation skills therefore contribute to prevention. Technology adds both opportunities and risks. Online communication allows couples to stay connected across distance. However, it also provides easy avenues for secrecy. Social media, dating apps, and private messaging have introduced new forms of infidelity that blur traditional boundaries. Preventive strategies here may include transparency in digital use, shared understanding of acceptable behavior online, and mindful monitoring of how much time is spent engaging virtually with others. Cultural expectations influence prevention as well. In cultures where fidelity is strongly emphasized, social pressure acts as a deterrent. In cultures where casual extramarital connections are normalized, prevention depends more heavily on individual choice and mutual agreement. Couples navigating cross-cultural relationships may need explicit conversations about differing norms to avoid misunderstandings. Relational repair skills also help prevent escalation. Disagreements are inevitable, but the way they are handled determines whether they create lasting damage. Couples who resolve conflicts respectfully are less likely to allow resentment to fester. Those who rely on avoidance, criticism, or contempt may increase vulnerability to cheating. Learning and practicing constructive conflict resolution, therefore, is a preventive measure. Physical intimacy plays a role as well. While it is only one aspect of connection, neglect in this area can create dissatisfaction. Prevention involves not only maintaining frequency, but also ensuring mutual satisfaction and comfort. Conversations about preferences, boundaries, and changes over time are important. Silence in this area can create distance, while open communication fosters adaptability.